Venus Fridays. Let's talk about what's going on with our divine feminine planet and our divine feminine energy this week so we can tap into that feminine energy more consciously with greater awareness and greater understanding of the opportunities available to us. Okay, so here we are today, Friday, June 7th. And Venus is still within that 1 degree of being exactly meeting with the sun, right? So when Venus and the sun meet, it's considered Venus, the goddess, is in the heart of the sun, the heart of spirit, the heart of that source energy, right? And so she's getting this massive infusion being in this direct line between the earth, the sun, and then Venus is on the other side. Or from your view, if you're the earth, here's the sun, and then Venus is on the other side. And they came into this exact alignment on Tuesday, the 4th. But we're talking about these huge planets, right? So it's not like Tuesday was the day and that's all there is to it. It's a process, right? So she comes into the exact conjunction is what that meeting is called. And then she starts to separate out of it slowly. So the point is today, we're still within that 1 degree. They're still, for all intents and purposes, completely aligned. And we're still in that heart of the universe, getting that infusion of energy, that vital force, vitality, that life force energy, the prana, the chi, into our divine feminine expressions. Now, all of this is happening while Venus is in the underworld, meaning we can't see Venus in the sky, right? She's hidden in the light of the sun. When she's on the other side of the sun, we can't see her with our naked eye. We won't see Venus again until July, when she'll pop into the evening sky after the sunset, and we will once again be able to see her with our eyes. So until that time, it's like she's gotten hidden in the horizon line, right? She's not in the morning sky. She's not in the evening sky. So she's in the underworld. So we're in this powerful alchemical cauldron energy transformation opportunity. What Kaylin and I and Venus Alchemy like to talk about is the butterfly coming from the cocoon, from the caterpillar, of over this underworld time. So the caterpillar, she goes into the underworld, the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it completely dissolves. It's not a caterpillar anymore at all. And then it restructures and comes out the butterfly on the other side. So right now, at this exact conjunction time, is when we are the goo. I had someone on social media say, I think this is what they said, feeling the slime, right? That's the place that we're in. So we're getting this massive infusion of energy in the divine feminine, our divine feminine expressions, but we're in the underworld simultaneously in this alchemical cauldron of transformation, right? So really you could be feeling all the things, right? Of this transformation, which is usually having to kind of face shadow parts of ourselves, face the dark, the challenging things, feel our actual feelings, not hide them, fix them, suppress them. And then that's what causes that wholeness that can come back on the other side, because we've turned and faced these parts of ourselves we're uncomfortable with. That alone brings healing. And there's that infusion of energy there to help and support us. So you may be having a really blissed out time while Venus is conjunct the sun in the underworld, or you may be having a really challenging time having to face a lot of things. And both are great. Both are fine. Both may not feel the same, but they're both really good, because we have to turn and face ourselves to come into the wholeness so that we can be much more of our authentic selves, hear our soul's teachings, our soul's callings, so that we can follow and walk in that path and ultimately empower the divine feminine within ourselves and in the world at large, which is what we are so wanting to do and what is so important for me and my mission, right? Not that you need to be on my mission, but it's like, that's what this is really all about for me, is like, how do we start to balance the masculine and the feminine in our world again, so we can come into a much better place for all of us to be. So that's what's happening right now. So that 1 degree orb where that 1 degree of separation is happening will reach the 1 degree tomorrow on Saturday. And then Venus will be moving further and further away from the sun until then we can see her in the evening sky in July. So I wanted to bring that in. Okay, so we're also still in the new moon energies from yesterday, right? So maybe tonight you'll be able to see that first little crescent moon, maybe not, it depends where you are, but the moon is in alignment with all of this energy as well, even though the moon is moving on now today. But we're still in a lot of energy of the moon, which is considered feminine as well. It has pulls on the waters of our bodies, the emotional realm, right? So there's a lot going on energetically. If you're feeling a lot, there's a lot going on. You're just tuned in. So I think the most important thing that we can do is just feel the feels, feel our feelings. That's the feminine, the being present, feeling our feelings, not trying to change them, not trying to do anything about it, but just increasing our consciousness, our awareness of like where we're at, right? Like today, the last couple of days in my meditation, I'm like, ooh, it's like hard for me to connect into, like stay present with my heart. Like I connect into it and then, woo, I'm off into thinking about my to-do list or whatever. And then I come back to it and I'm like, oh, okay, there I am, just having a hard time staying present, staying connected into my heart in my meditations right now, right? I don't need to change that. I don't need to shame myself for it. It's like, ooh, that's a good awareness for me to have and be more conscious of, period, right? Nothing else needs to come of that. So just as a, for instance, example, so I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at the sky and see where all this stuff is going on. Again, using this stellarium.org free software that I always like to use. So here we are today. You can see it on the time and date right here, June 7th. It's in the morning. And Venus and the sun are still conjunct close together. Mercury and Jupiter, not far away. Mercury is aligned with Aldebaran, the Eye of the Bull constellation, one of the royal stars. Here's Mars, and here's Saturn. Okay, so tomorrow on Saturday, the 8th, Venus and the sun still close together. Mercury's gotten a little closer because it's nearing its conjunction with the sun. The moon has moved on, but I point this out because Venus and Saturn are in a square tomorrow. And then on Sunday, one more day, the sun and Saturn are in a square, right? So for these 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, there's this square energy from Saturn towards this Venus-Sun conjunction. Okay, so what does that mean? So Saturn is the planet that teaches through, everyone likes to say like contraction, right? And I like to think of that as, it's not a bad or a good thing, right? People are like, oh, Saturn's bad and Jupiter's good. Well, they both have positive and challenging aspects to them, right? So the beauty of Saturn is it brings the walls in closer and it helps us get really clear on where we are spending our energy, right? Because it's just kind of bleeding off. Maybe we don't like this thing that we're doing, but it's not enough of an impetus to get us to change it. But Saturn comes into the picture and it's like, oof, I don't want to put my energy in that direction anymore. And it becomes really clear like where I want to put my energy. And so that's where the contraction helps. So we're having this Saturn contraction type of energy coming into this square, which is a geometric energy that is asking for action around our vitality, life force, divine feminine, right? So I think this is a beautiful opportunity coming out of this like exact conjunction, but still really close and tight together to get clear even more on like our intentions around our feminine, what we're doing, the energy, right? Are we putting energy towards that in ways that feels good and desirable to us? Are we still putting energy like towards the patriarchy, which we're all doing? We're going to catch ourselves through the rest of our lives, right? Because it's the dominant force that we've been conditioned by. But it's like Venus Sun conjunction, it's this infusion of this feminine energy. And then Saturn comes in and helps us get clear. Like, where are we at with that intention? Where are we at with that infusion? Where are we at with what came through to us in this conjunction, what we were feeling, right? So that we can get really clear on where we don't want to waste our energy anymore and where we want to double down on how we spend our energy. Okay, so also on Saturday, I'll just say, so we'll go back one day. It's not a big movement here, but Mars moves into Taurus as well. So the divine masculine moves into Taurus, this energy that is very associated with the feminine of being present, being on the earth, being embodied, being connected to the earth, grounding. So again, this is helpful for us with one, there's so much Gemini energy that is very like in the head and up and out and energized and flitting around like the hummingbird, going in a ton of different directions. Mars, our actional planet, right? The masculine coming into a much more solid, present, embodied, focused, earth grounded place can help be that foundation for all of this feminine energy happening, Mercury, Jupiter, Gemini energy happening. Okay, so let's start to look into next week. So on Tuesday, the 11th, we have Venus in a couple of sextile relationships. And here you can see, I'm just going to zoom in over here and bring this down a little bit so you can start to see, right? Venus is starting to move away from the sun. Mercury is moving closer to the sun. But just so you can see that now that separation is starting to get larger. They're still really close together. It's not like, oh, we're fully like done and separated and that's over. But they're starting to separate and move. So the energy starts to lessen. Venus is moving onto her evening star side of the sun and moving towards rising into the evening sky in July. So on Tuesday, Venus comes into a sextile with Chiron, and the moon is in a sextile with Venus, right? So there's these two sextile energies, this two sextile geometrical relationships with Venus on Tuesday. So sextiles are usually what we consider like a flowing kind of energy because they have a connection between them, right? So Chiron in Aries, Venus in Gemini. Those are both energies that air and fire that are like up and out and feed with each other, as opposed to like water and earth that are more down and in. So there's a resonance there with the sextile. So that's why there's a little bit more like flow. So Chiron, the wounded healer. So again, Venus in the underworld still, it's more flow and energy towards helping us clear those blockages, those shadows that prevent us stepping into the next incarnation of our divine feminine, right? Those blocks that still hold us back from that next layer of our divine feminine onion peeling back, seeing the light and coming forward. So that's on Tuesday. So we're still in the underworld. We've still got healing to do. We're still in that alchemical transformation. We're still turning from the caterpillar into the butterfly. Again, that's the opportunity. You can kind of like check out from it, but this, why I do Venus Fridays is for us to be able to have an awareness so we can co-create and be one, more self-love for ourselves as we go through these processes, but understand how it's connecting into the bigger evolutionary goal of like the whole solar system as well. So The moon is in the sextile with Venus as well, which I'll just span back out. I'll move this up, span out a little bit more. Just bring that out, and then I'm gonna turn the ground off so we can see where the moon is. I'll move this over a little bit. And here's the moon in Leo in this sextile with Venus in Gemini. Again, fire and air, energies that resonate together, right? Fire needs air to grow larger, right? So the moon highlights, brings energy to whatever it comes into these dynamic relationships with, and it's Venus here on the same day as Venus is sextile Chiron. So the moon, that emotional place of healing, ancestral healing, lineage type of healing, that cellular DNA type of healing is available on Tuesday. Okay, and then on Thursday, the 13th, we have the waxing half moon. So the moon is in the square with the sun. So it comes into a square with Venus. And I mean, when does it come into the square with Venus? It'll come into a square with Venus on Friday. Okay, there, we can talk about that. Oh, on the same day, next Friday, that the sun and Mercury come into their cazimi. So you see Mercury is moving closer, closer, closer to the sun here. So then our mental mind is going to get that same kind of infusion of vitality that Venus just got by meeting with the sun. So last thing, we'll just say, here we have the waxing half moon. So if we set our new moon intentions, this waxing half moon is the time to look at, am I taking action? What am I doing? What do I need to do? How can I help support this intention coming into fruition, manifesting over this month? And I'm always a fan of setting intentions at the new moon that are a month-long bite that you can actually manage and do, and you can look back and see, did you do it? Rather than like, I will spread more love into the world. That's an amazing intention. But how do you actually do that, right? Like maybe you say, I will write a gratitude list every night. And that's how I am achieving that larger goal. And then you can look and go, did I write a gratitude list most nights or not, right? So right now, using that same example, on this waxing half moon is the time to go, ooh, I totally spaced out about that. I'm going to start writing that gratitude list every night, right? That kind of a thing. So it's something really like concrete is what I like to do with these new moon intentions. Okay, so this new moon, I'll just add, is in Virgo, which is the sign of the priestess, the earth sign that's in service to the earth, to Gaia. So it's a beautiful time to take like really practical, real kind of action, because that's what earth signs like to do. So it just sort of lends itself to what I was just sharing. Okay, that's what I've got to share with you for this Venus Friday, and that's what's happening this week. Tune in next week, and we can talk more about the divine feminine and how to consciously interact with that energy on a week-to-week basis. Thanks.